Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new contender for worst festival in the world. In one corner, we have Blue Ridge Rock Fest 2023, and in the other corner, we have Capulet Fest 2024. And if you're like me, when you heard about Capulet Fest, you were like, what the is that? I've never heard of that festival either, but we're going to do a rundown of the background on the festival and what's happened and if people are going to get their money back and talk about how crazy this really was. Because before the festival happened, when there was original drama going on like Reddit and their Facebook pages, we talked about this on stream last week, but now the festival has happened. So I want to go over this, and I also want to discuss like, why the does this keep happening? I don't understand how we keep having so many absolute trash festivals where people are losing their money, and like it's ridiculous, dude. So let's jump in here. I'll give you a little refresher on what Capulet Fest is, and then we'll talk about it. But real quick before we dive in, let's just stay on this topic of absolute trash and things that keep happening that I don't understand. Spam. No, not the canned food that some people on this planet actually like. I'm talking about spam emails and phone calls and all of that stuff. Over the last couple years, I've noticed that it's gotten out of control, whether it's through my emails, phone calls, even text messages now. But that's where the sponsor of today's video, INCOGNI, can help out. Now, in the social media day and age that we're in, there are a ton of corporations that like to collect our data and sell it. Put us on data brokerage lists, and it gets sold off so that there's people that buy it that can make money off of us. Now, the good news is there is a way to get off of those lists, but sometimes it's so time consuming and we don't know how to do those things that nobody really looks into it. Well, that's exactly what INCOGNI does, and it has been an absolute game changer for me. All you have to do is sign up for the service, and they go to work right away. They start requesting that you be removed from all of these data brokerage lists. And if there's pushback from some of these companies, they will actually push back on them for you, so you don't have to worry about doing anything. They even have detailed lists that you can look at on your dashboard that show you the companies that have your data, and it shows you how at risk you are, whether it's in progress to remove it or whether they've actually removed it. And this has been huge for me, especially in work, because with how busy I am with advancing shows and festivals and stuff as a tour manager, I've got to talk to a lot of different people. But because of all the spam calls, I had to have my phone set to where it only rang when actual contacts in my phone called me. And I've actually missed calls that I needed before just because I was so annoyed by all the spam. But not anymore. So if you're like me and you're tired of being bombarded by spam, email, and phone calls and text messages, head over to incogni.com/TankTheTech, or just follow the link in the description or the pinned comment of this video. And by following that link, you will get 60% off their annual plan. And I use the annual plan because even if you get off one of these data broker lists, there's a chance that you could get back on it in the future. So by being on this annually, I know they're going to have it taken care of, and they're going to make sure that I get off as many lists as possible, and I'm not going to be bothered with all this junk. So thank you so much to INCOGNI. Thank you to all of you for watching this. And now, back to horrible music festivals. Capulet Fest is a music festival in Connecticut in the northeast of the United States that is run by Capulet Entertainment, which is an independent promotion company formed in 2012 by author and lifelong music aficionado Esteban Vega. And as I said on my last stream, just because you're a music aficionado does not mean that you can properly promote festivals and shows, but I digress. Without getting into all the details, what you really need to know about Capulet Fest is that in 2002, it was born per their website. It was their first festival that they ever held, and apparently it went over okay from what I've seen. 2023 had another one, and then 2024 was supposed to have this year's, which happened this past weekend. Kind of. We'll get into that. Their website says, year 1 was the warning. Year 2 was the arrival. Year 3 will be the takeover. Witness history in the making. I think they made history, but not the kind of history that they were hoping to make. So the lineup for Capulet Fest was actually pretty good. 50 bands on 2 stages over 3 days. As you can see, day one, the top billed bands: August Burns Red, Bless the Fall, Haste the Day, Sleep Theory, Until I Wake, Life in Your Way. A lot of bands on here that I'm not familiar with. Oh, we got If Not For Me. They were our openers on the Electric Callboy Tour. Fantastic dudes, great music, really good live performance. Day two headliners were Skillet, Saint Asonia, Red, Adelita's Way, Upon a Burning Body, Gideon. Also had like Impending Doom, It Dies Today, a lot of bands. And then day three was set to be nothing more, Senses Fail, 10 Years, Taproot, Cold, Lacey Sturm, Alisana, a bunch of other bands. Of Virtue, love those guys too. There's a lot of bands on here. Now, while there are some very notable names on this, there are no, and I don't mean this as disrespect to any of these bands because I like a lot of these bands, but this doesn't seem like a heavy hitter festival. These are bigger names in like the radio rock world, but it's not like you've got like the big like European festival headliners like, you know, Five Finger Death Punch and Megadeth and stuff like that. Like these are great bands, but I had a feeling right away when I saw this that I'm like, okay, this is probably like a 15 to 20,000 cap festival. And what I found out was it was scheduled to have a capacity of 13,000. Tickets for the event, in my opinion, were not that bad. For a one-day ticket, it was $80 to $90 plus fees, and that just includes your entry for a GA ticket. A weekend ticket for all 3 days was $225. Again, I don't think that's too bad for a 3-day festival of 50 bands. But then they had the Capulet Royal Pass, which was $750. Entry for all 3 days, early entry, VIP parking, meet and greets for all 3 days. Access to a lounge with air conditioning and indoor bathrooms, complimentary waters, earplugs, and festival merch. So $750 for a big VIP package like that for people that are stoked about those bands is pretty solid. But as we were discussing, there was a lot of drama and stuff leading up to this. Originally, this festival was supposed to be held at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. And about a day before the festival, or 2 days before the festival, June 27th, 2024, at 9:39 a.m., Thompson Motorsports Park posted, "Attention, Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park would like to confirm that the Capulet Fest is no longer happening at our facility. All additional details about the future of the event will be coming directly from Capulet. Thompson is not affiliated, associated, authorized, endorsed by, or in any way officially connected with Capulet Fest or Capulet Entertainment." Now, a lot of people were actually waiting for this because online, on Reddit, Instagram, Facebook pages, there were some bands that started dropping off this, and there were some rumblings like, is this going to happen? And Capulet Entertainment and Capulet Fest were not posting anything. Actually, let me take that back. They were posting, but they were just posting like, get ready, festivals in 2 days. Like nothing related to any of the bands dropping off, anything like that. They were just like, keep like pushing this is going to be historic and legendary, get your tickets. And they were still selling tickets even though this venue said that it was not happening at all. So they cancel for the park, Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park canceled the event. Well, they didn't cancel the event. They just said it's not happening here. Later that day, about, 8 hours later, 5:22 p.m., Capulet Entertainment finally made their first post addressing the actual situation. They said, "We want to address the elephant in the room. It's been a week. Thanks for sticking with us through this. We apologize for the slight silence leading up to today, but we had to lock in some things first and get the ball moving so we could keep the fest rocking. In short, there was a discrepancy and some miscommunication with the production crew and the Speedway, and we couldn't come to a mutually agreeable solution, so we needed to part ways and adjust, pivoting to a smaller venue with less capacity." Sorry, I'm trying to hold back laughing because the park, the Speedway that was supposed to have this event, straight up said that it's not happening there and they're not associated with it, meaning there was something going on in the background. They probably didn't get rent paid or deposits paid or anything like that. And they're like, you're not holding it here. So this was not a mutual, agreement on parting ways or anything like that. So they said they're moving it to the Webster Theater, which is less capacity. It's like 1,300 people, I believe, which is a far cry from the 13,000 they were expecting. Continues by saying, due to this change, the following artists will not be performing: Nothing More, Census Fail, Cold, 10 Years, and Sleep Theory, Saint Asonia. I think that should say Sleep Theory and Saint Asonia, but I don't mean to get on the grammar thing here, but we're still going to give one amazing show. A special thanks to the crew, agents, and teams involved, as well as the original venue, Thompson Speedway, for exhausting every possible option before we arrived to this resolution. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it work there. We look forward to shaking the earth with August Burns Red, Bless the Fall, Haste the Day, and many more. Let's not forget our insane lineup on Saturday with Skillet, Red, Upon a Burning Body, and It Dies Today. And we are very stoked as we look forward to our intimate, sold-out show with Taproot and Lacey Sturm of Flyleaf, among many others, for a unique, one-of-a-kind experience for this Sunday. Get excited. Now, this is the image that they attached on there with all the bands that were going to be playing. And to my knowledge, at that time, actually more bands had dropped off, but they didn't announce that they did. I don't want to spend tons and tons and tons of time digging right now while we're on here just to find exactly who did, but I'm pretty sure some did. But anyways, shortly after this was posted, and it's funny because they specifically mentioned Upon a Burning Body posted on Instagram, due to unforeseen circumstances out of our control, unfortunately, we will not be performing at Capulet Fest on June 29th. The way things have been being managed with this festival have not been in a professional manner. We are sorry for everyone who has spent hard-earned money to see multiple bands and to see hundreds of people not getting answers about refunds. We will be back on the East Coast for multiple dates with Mushroomhead. We hope to see a lot of you then. Upon a Burning Body. Now, on the topic of refunds, we're going to get on that in a little bit because it's not good. Like, nobody's getting their money back for this. At least, unless they get sued. But we'll dive into that in a little bit. The Capulet Fest website had not been, like, updated that well at all. But a little banner popped up on here over the weekend that said, announcement, despite our best efforts and due to unforeseen circumstances, Capulet Fest concluded on Saturday night with a spectacular performance by Skillet. Now, what's interesting about that, concluded with a spectacular performance by Skillet. Skillet was not the final band of the night. They were the headlining band, don't get me wrong, but they were not the final band on the actual schedule. From what I've seen, it looks like maybe Skillet and their production team didn't want to play like super late. And they put some of the smaller build bands after them, which that happens at local shows sometimes. I mean, that does. So right here, as you can see, it says the band Live Kill, who were roughly the 5th on a 16-band bill that had been announced last week for yesterday's date of the festival, ultimately were the final artists to perform. They didn't even get to complete their set, instead being stopped 2 songs in. The group took to Instagram in the below stream, claiming that venue security shut down the event because the promoter didn't pay the rent. To confirm that Skillet played, I actually did look for footage and I found it. Skillet did play in the main room at this festival, which surprises me, but again, we'll get into that in a little bit. When it comes to the venue, Capulet Fest said unforeseen circumstances. The Webster said in a statement on Monday that the Capulet Festival failed to meet their financial obligations to pay for staff operations, security, the production company, and more. There's no word on whether the festival plans to give refunds to anyone who had bought tickets to Sunday. The Webster recommended that ticket buyers looking for a refund contact the ticketing company that processed the payments directly. It says, quote, the Webster did its best to be supportive and do right by the rock community and attendees who were left with no place to go this past weekend due to the lack of communication and planning by the festival organizers, the statement from Webster says. We've reached out to the festival organizers for comment, but we have not heard back. By the time it was all said and done, this was the lineup. This was the final lineup. So this is kind of crazy, man. Like, if we look at the grand scheme of everything that was supposed to happen, you had a festival that had over 50 bands scheduled for 3 days. And this is not a first-time festival, let me remind you. This is their 3rd year. 50 bands over 3 days at a 13,000 capacity speedway. The speedway, due to whatever, said it's not being held here. And at the last minute, the promoter moved it to a 1,300 capacity venue. These are the bands that played, and then Sunday was completely canceled. Now, people are pissed. Like, rightfully so. People are super pissed. And we'll get into the reason why in a second, but people are so pissed. The Attorney General is now looking into Capulet Fest complaints after the festival canceled its final day. It says the Attorney General says they've received more than 40 complaints about Capulet Fest. I'm kind of surprised it's only 40, but still. The people we spoke with hope the AG not only looks into refunds, but the fact that they say organizer Esteban Vega kept selling parking and camping passes despite the downgraded venue, sold tickets for bands that were no longer performing, and did not provide hotel accommodations like he said he would. Now, to give you a little background on that, when they moved the festival organizer, Esteban Vega, said that they would still honor parking and like camper passes and stuff like that at the Webster, but it was first come, first serve on a VIP basis. And then if there was anybody left after that, then they would allow GA people to park too. They also said that they would still accommodate the people at the original hotel that they booked that made travel plans that was an hour away. So they didn't even try and move hotels for people. There were people that were coming in from out of state that already made lodging accommodations and stuff like that. Like, the whole thing is an absolute mess. Now, here's the hard part. Here's the really hard part about all this. People are pissed and they want refunds. Of course, if something like this happens, people should get refunds. But as we've seen from Blue Ridge Rock Fest 2023, people still haven't gotten refunds for that directly from the festival. People have done chargebacks to their credit cards and got paid back for that. But from the festival, nobody's gotten refunds from the cancellation. Here is the big point I want to make to everybody that ever attends a concert or a festival. And by explaining this, I'm not putting blame on you guys at all. I'm not saying you deserve not to get your money back or anything like that. I just want to point this out because a lot of promoters do this. On screen right here, it says, what if it rains? Capulet Fest goes on no matter what, rain or shine. Pack a rad rain jacket or grab a funky poncho and let's rock. Just so you know, tickets for Capulet Fest 2024 are non-refundable, but we're in for a wild time. So just by having that little phrase in there, just so you know, tickets for Capulet Fest 2024 are non-refundable. Refundable. They're covered. And on the last stream, that if I have a clip of that, I'll show in this video. I think I recorded that, but didn't use it yet. When you go to actually purchase tickets, because we looked into this, there is a refund policy with the tickets that says all tickets purchased to Capulet Fest 2024 are considered non-refundable. Capulet Fest is a rain or shine event. Refunds are not provided under any circumstances, including the postponement of the event dates, change of venue, artist cancellations from the lineup, weather, or other acts of God. And that's the actual sad truth. As Frosty in chat just said, and by buying your tickets, you agreed to the terms. Yeah, you have to check the little box when you buy stuff online that says, I agree to the terms and conditions. So everybody that bought tickets agreed to those terms and conditions, meaning they're not entitled to a refund. So unfortunately, for all of you that did buy tickets to this, they don't have to give you a refund legally. They covered themselves. So I implore all of you guys that like to go to concerts and festivals and stuff, always read the refund policy on this, because if a festival seems sketchy, it probably is. And as you can see, this guy is covered. Like, he is not legally entitled to have to give anybody refunds that bought VIP passes, parking passes, camping passes, tickets, anything. Now, that could change. If the Attorney General does look into this and finds like wrongdoing and stuff like that, they may make him pay out. But from the legal standpoint here, like, he does not have to give refunds to anybody. And that absolutely sucks for the people that did buy tickets that got kind of bamboozled and swindled into this whole thing. Now, the thing that blows my mind though, I mean, according to, from people I've seen online and what the promoter said, they sold a lot of tickets. So how did this guy not have money to pay anybody? I mean, he probably did. Again, as I've said before on stream, I can't make any accusations because I don't want to slander or libel, but like, it seems kind of scammy. And we've been seeing this a lot lately with a lot of festivals. And I don't understand how this is allowed to keep happening, or kind of why not only people keep attending these festivals, but why the bands are booking themselves at these festivals. And when I say bands booking themselves, I mean the agents. But let's be clear, bands always know what's going on. They don't just like get a schedule and they're like, oh, we're playing Capulet Fest today. Like ahead of time, the manager is going to find out and notify the band. Elanuvian said money. You are absolutely correct. No, really, let's be honest here. If the money is good and the deposits are made for these bands, they're going to take shows, especially when it seems like a decent festival. 13,000 capacity at a speedway with a really good lineup. Like, yeah, why wouldn't they want to play at it? But I'm actually surprised that not all of these bands just dropped off. Like, at face value to me, this whole thing looked very scummy. It looked very shady. So I'm curious as to why some of these bands even decided to still play. Part of it could be money, like you said. Maybe they already got their deposits and they wanted to make their full check. I mean, this is a business. I'm not blaming bands. These people have families to feed and people to pay and crews to pay and stuff like that. As we've talked about many times, bands canceling shows sucks for everybody. Like, especially the bands too. I know it sucks for the fans that want to see these bands perform, but you guys got to keep in mind, no band wants to cancel a show. Because if they cancel a show, they're on the hook for all of the expenses, but they're not getting any income. They have to pay their crew. They have to pay for the rentals. They have to pay for the buses, flights that are involved, all that kind of stuff. So bands canceling shows hurts everybody. I did see on If Not For Me's Instagram, they said that they decided to play still, not because of the festival, but because they actually wanted to put on a performance for the fans. Like, they said they felt bad for the fans that paid all this money to see the festival and stuff, and they wanted to show up and play. And I believe that. And I believe, now that I think about it more, I do believe that a lot of the bands probably wanted to do the same thing. They just wanted to try and give a good show to the fans that actually bought tickets. But going even further into this, like with the things that we've had happen, like Blue Ridge and now this and stuff like that, like promoters and booking agents in the music industry need to just really, really think about this stuff, I think. Like, I know they're booking agents make their money based on the percentage of the guarantees that they negotiate for their bands. So they're trying to get paid too, let's be honest. But like, there are certain situations where it's like, it looks so shady and the production setup isn't good and stuff like that. It's like, do you really want to put your band in this situation just to make some money? I don't know. I'm not a manager. I'm not a booking agent. I'm just a tour manager. And as a tour manager, I just go where we're told to go and make sure that the show works. But I don't know, man. There's just some of these, it just blow my mind. And this situation is just, it's a bummer. It's a bummer for everybody involved, especially for the fans, especially with that refund policy, which if it is upheld, I don't think anybody's really going to get their money back. But to go back to what we said at the beginning, what was worse, Blue Ridge or this one? I'm going to have to say Blue Ridge. I don't think this ranks up there with a catastrophe like Blue Ridge. Cause like people legitimately got hurt at Blue Ridge. People could have died at Blue Ridge. Like that was an absolute nightmare compared to this. So I have seen some people online compare this to Blue Ridge, and the comparison is because it's just a shit show festival that got canceled and nobody's going to get their money back and stuff like that. But in terms of like the overall what happened and people like possibly being hurt and stuff like that, like Blue Ridge is going to reign supreme on this one, in my opinion. But if you have any other opinions on it, or if you were there and experienced this or anything like that, drop a comment in the video, man, because it just, you know, for me being in the music industry, I always hate when I see stories like this, but I want to do videos like this because I want to bring situations like this to light so people are more aware of what's going on. So this doesn't keep happening to bands and promoters the promoters are the ones that f***ed it up ultimately, but bands, their booking agents, the fans especially, like I just want everybody to be more knowledgeable and know what's going on with these situations. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you guys for being here live on Twitch. To anybody on YouTube later, if you'd like to join us for these conversations, you can go to twitch.tv/TankTheTech. I stream often when I'm not on tour. I would stream on tour on my days off, but the internet in Germany is not the greatest. If you'd like to follow me on social media, @TankTheTech is my handle on just about everything. But until next time, wherever you are in the world, be safe, be kind to each other. I love you all, and I will see you very soon.